maybe it was.
unfortunately, I
Yeah,
couldn't get there. Yeah, I remember. I mean, I was living on my pocket money at that point. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
doing
No,
like a
I get that. I
Saturday
get
job.
you. I get you.
Yeah, I was working in a chemist on a Saturday, sweeping up.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was an incredible season, and that was probably the real highlight. And but I just felt so in love with the whole atmosphere and the whole match day atmosphere at that point. And like I said, I really miss Highbury. I really do.
I think a lot of people feel the same way,
If you
Andrew.
don't, I
Well,
mean, the biggest thing I find is the change in mentality, which I can see signs of now under Mikel Arteta, and
yeah,
that's why there's so many similarities between what's going on now and what went on back then. You know, it's quite uncanny, really. Everyone, when George Graham was appointed, if we'd have had Twitter then, I mean, my God, he would have been hounded out.
yeah,
No one wanted him, you know,
yeah.
because he wasn't a big glamorous name. You know, everyone wanted Terry Venables, I seem
That's
to
right.
remember at that
Yeah.
point. And I'm pretty sure he was spoken to about the job. And when George Graham was appointed, it was almost like you know, the type of thing. Not for me though, and I was quite lucky in that respect because I'd had the Millwall
Yeah,
connection.
experience. Yeah, you'd know, you knew, you'd seen him work, kind of.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I, I loved more than anything is it just really epitomised the standards, the class of the club in the blazer. He's such a handsome bloke, wasn't he?
yeah,
And I was really proud of him as a manager because he looked so brilliant. You know, he looked like a proper manager who's always immaculate. He had the Arsenal crest on his blazer. He had the Arsenal tie on, and he enforced that amongst the players as well. And you could see that when we walked into opposition grounds, and we all got off the coach, and they were all
blazer and
wearing the
flannels,
smart.
blazer and
Exactly.
flannels. Yeah, blazer and flannels.
It looked like we mean
Class,
business.
class.
Yeah.
Coming to do a
And,
job. Yeah,
when he set about changing the team, and I could see back then the difference in mentality of the players. You know, when he got it wasn't a popular decision again. You know, again, imagine on Twitter getting rid of people like Charlie Nicholas and you know and
Kenny
bringing in
Sansom and those
Kenny
guys.
Sant,
Viv Anderson.
mate, and Graham Ricks and
Yeah,
brilliant players. Viv Anderson, another unsung hero. What a right back he was. You
yeah,
know, incredible right back. People hardly ever speak about him, but I loved Viv Anderson. Limpar came in. That was so exciting because he was like an exotic player back then. There weren't that many foreigners in the first division as it was
no,
there.
that's right. That's
And
right.
he had. I mean, when I went to Wembley and saw you score and saw him score his first goal, and then I saw David Seaman for the first time, and it was something else. You know, he was such an exciting bursting onto the scene. You know, and some of the goals he scored, like chip goal against was it Man United.
Yeah.
That goal he scored from
No,
distance.
Against Liverpool.
Liverpool. Sorry, of course it
Highbury.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a goal that was! You know, the whole crowd erupted. You know,
Erupted. Yeah.
we weren't used to that kind of
That.
foreign
Yeah.
dazzling skill, were we? But
Very much
but to
so.
have him
Very much so.
to have him on one side and Rocastle on the other side, and you know, I mean, what we couldn't do for like a Michael Thomas now bursting through the midfield with his runs.
Very
I
true.
don't think there's hardly anyone in the
It's a
modern
dying
game
art. It's a
that can
dying
match
art
him.
now. It's a dying art. A midfielder who
Well,
runs beyond and gets goals.
mate, honestly, he'd be worth £100 million because the timing of his runs from midfield were like second to none.
Yeah.
And I was devastated when he left. But Wenger's problem at the end, he was too stubborn. And the problem, I think, as well, because he was so loyal. He gave his life to Arsenal. Let's face it, he gave his life to Arsenal. And I'm convinced that he shouldered so much of the flack that should have gone away. Yeah, it shouldn't have been nothing to do with him. But he took it all on himself and took the blame. And I think slowly but surely, it literally wore him down and broke him. And I think towards the end, when he left, he should have left earlier. We all know that.
Should have left
But
after the Chelsea FA Cup win, shouldn't he?
Yeah, or potentially even earlier. Maybe. I mean, we wouldn't have wanted to lose that match, would we? That was incredible, that final.
Yeah.
But maybe he should have left in 2014, even after the other one. But I think he just took on too much blame. He broke himself inside because he was convinced and he really wanted to turn this around. But due to the constraints and the move to the Emirates, he was working with a hand tied behind his back a lot of the time. And I think the fact that he got us into the top 4 as often as he did with very, very substandard teams compared to what he had before, that is an achievement that should not be overlooked. I mean, we were in the running for the league maybe 3 or 4 times in the latter years, up until about maybe 10 matches to go. And then because of the weakness of the squad, we collapsed.
Yeah, it was a March time we tended to fall away, didn't we?
And a lot of the players have come up through the divisions. Look at Sheffield United now, what they've achieved this year with a great coach, a great mentality, and the right attitude on the pitch, because they are so grateful to be playing in a Premier League. They never thought they'd do it, and probably a lot of those players.
Yeah.
And no one had heard of them. And I think our situation now is so similar to when George Graham took over at Arsenal. It's unbelievable.
Big time.
You know, and we've got so many good players coming through the academy. And will they make it? Time will tell. But I really hope they get their chance. I've got a massive feeling that Emile Smith-Rowe is going to be a player, real player. You know, and I want to see these players coming through. But I also want the right type of player to be brought into the team, and I want them to look outside the normal
channels,
you know, the small
outside the normal channels.
Exactly. And I'll tell you now, this is my biggest thing about Arteta, right? I think people go on about the formations on the pitch, how you overcome the opposition, and you know, shall we play a 3-4-3, whatever, all these different types of connotations. That's the easy part for Arteta. That's a piece of piss for him. Have you heard of the writer Michael Cox, the journalist Michael Cox, who does, you know, he would be the best manager in the world if that's what the game, if that's what it was all about, the type of tactics.
Yeah.
What separates a good tactician from a great coach is to be able to turn the mentality of a player around, the way that Arteta has in the last. Well, he's only had, let's face it, with a 3-month gap, he's only had about 4 months, really, as a coach on the pitch.
That's right.
So he came into a team that was plummeting towards the bottom 3, and a lot of the players were already out of the club. Let's face it.
Yes.
Xhaka had 1 foot on the plain turf of Berlin. Mustafi was the most vilified player in the world, you know, the way that he was playing and defending.
Yeah.
You know, David Luiz was the same. And the whole team had no confidence and was shot to pieces. And what separates a good coach from a great coach is the ability to turn losers into winners. And in such a short space of time, although we've had a few setbacks along the way, which is bound to happen with the players we've got.
Which we're going to do as well, which we're going to have, yeah.
You've got to expect. And the analysis after every defeat is always the same, and it bores me to tears. Our players aren't good enough. We haven't got enough creativity in the midfield. Our defence is poor. We can't defend set pieces. We know that, you know, but we know that already. Just stop saying it after every defeat. It's going to happen until we change our players. But the turnaround in the mentality, and which is why I absolutely loved the win against Liverpool.
Yes.
We were battered for 89% of the game, you know, but we won. And we haven't seen that since the George Graham days, that type of backs to the wall, grit, determination, strong mentality. We ain't going to be beaten today type of attitude, coming from a goal down against the team that's blown everyone away this year. And that win says something to me more than anything. Yes, it wasn't a great sort of performance on the eye, but the mentality that shows me how good a coach Arteta is.
Yes.
And it was almost it was the same against Man City as well. And he broke Pep that day, honestly, because he schooled him on the pitch. You know, he set traps around that pitch, and they fell into them left, right, and centre. And Pep didn't have an answer, you know, towards the end.
Yeah.
He didn't have an answer. They didn't hurt us in the slightest. And even Liverpool battered us the whole match, but they didn't create many opportunities in that game.
And that's the key, isn't it? That is the key. You know?